What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BreBre Talks MMA. Before we get into the episode, let's go ahead and take a minute to show some love to our sponsors. You guys know I love to watch fights, I love combat sports, but you know what's a real fight? Is dealing with health insurance. It is sometimes the most frustrating thing to deal with, especially this time of year. And just like in a fight, you want to make sure that you have the best in your corner when it comes to dealing with these insurance companies. And that's where Bruce from Watson Health Group comes in. Not only is Bruce a licensed health professional based right here in St. Louis, Missouri, but he's also a diehard MMA fan just like us. And trust me, when you're looking for a health insurance agent that's going to fight for you, Bruce is your guy. So go ahead and visit watsonhealthgroup.com, fill out the form, and see how Bruce can protect you from getting knocked out by unexpected medical costs. Okay, we have a lot to talk about this morning. It is 6:30 a.m. I've got my coffee, and yes, I did wake up like this, just saying. I'm also repping my To Me Coco hoodie. Thank you so much. Shout out to Chef Jason Fullilove for sending me this. He sent me some hot sauce. He sent me this hoodie. This is actually a really nice hoodie. It's a really high quality, really comfortable. So yeah, thank you. This is perfect for the fall season. It's definitely hoodie season. So go to his website, go to Me Coco, check out the hot sauce, check out the hoodies, all the swag. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And he was on my podcast too. So if you aren't already subscribed to my other channel, check out the Brilliant Resilient Experience podcast. It is available on YouTube and Spotify. And that's where I do interviews with fighters, with people of all different sorts of backgrounds. So definitely check that out. I just had Tony Soto on the podcast. He is a bare knuckle boxer. So yeah, definitely check that out. Give me 1 second. I need to take a sip of coffee. I'm still waking up. Okay. So in today's episode, we have several different things we need to cover. We need to cover Gamebred FC 6. So on Friday night, we had another Gamebred bare knuckle MMA event, and it was awesome. The main event was Alan Belcher versus Roy Nelson, so we will be getting into that. Also, of course, UFC, which I unfortunately did not get to watch live, because I was at the Stand Up Fight Series event, which we are going to cover that event as well. That was a kickboxing event. And the main event of that one was Patrick Vega and Reis Newman. They were fighting for the national title in Stand Up Fight Series. So we are going to talk about that. And then we'll also get into UFC. Even though I didn't watch the pay-per-view, I did go back and watch the main two fights. And there's so much to talk about there, especially with Pereira calling out Israel Adesanya. We're going to get into that. And then there were some fight announcements that I wanted to talk about. And just kind of the future of combat sports and the future of my podcast. Because, really my goal with this when I started, I wasn't really sure what direction it was going to go. I just wanted to have a place for me to talk about combat sports, which is one of my biggest passions. And you guys know I'm independent. I do work with Fight Bananas on content. I collab with them, but at the end of the day, I'm independent. So I can cover whatever promotions I want. And I like to give back to St. Louis. I like to give back to my community and cover my local shows, show some love to the fighters here, try to do as much as I can for my community. And then also cover, the UFC, cover Gamebred bare knuckle, cover BKFC, and then I'm, possibly going to be venturing into covering some boxing, kickboxing, one championship. So let me know in the comments, what is a organization, promotion, or I guess something that you think I should add to what I already cover. Now, I cover a few local shows already, so I don't want to cover too many local shows because sometimes that can get a little much with having to go to all the fights and that. So I try to keep it simple with that for now. Who knows, maybe later on I'll have more time to kind of go to some. But if it's something I can just watch, like one championship is a good example. If you guys want me to continue covering PFL, let me know. I will probably cover that tournament But one championship seems like the direction I kind of want to go with covering that. I'm still going to continue covering UFC, covering the pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to do a deep dive for the Sean Strickland versus Duplessis pay-per-view. I'm going to do a deep dive for that one. I may do a deep dive for the Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards pay-per-view, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But definitely I'm going to kick off the year with a deep dive, so that'll be fun. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about Gamebred. So this was an awesome card. There were some. You know what? There was a statement that Jorge Masvidal released. I'm going to pull it up real quick and read it because I have not read it yet. So what a perfect time to read it on the pod. Let's see what they had to say. Let's see here. Sorry guys if I yawn, it's because I'm tired. Okay. Oh, this is from Dean Toole. Dean Toole is the CEO. He's the matchmaker. Hold on, I need to yawn. Okay, I'm good. The recent Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA event in Biloxi, Mississippi, featuring the highly anticipated match between Roy Nelson and Alan Belcher, not only showcased the undeniable talent of these athletes, but also brought to light several critical aspects of fight regulation, particularly the pivotal role of referees. As a promotion that values the integrity and fairness of our sport above all else, Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA would like to express its profound respect for the challenging role played by the Mississippi State Athletic Commission and its referees, who must make split-second decisions under immense pressure. Nevertheless, we have observed instances where referee decisions significantly impacted the flow and outcome of fights. These instances included early stoppages, situations where fights were not halted swiftly enough, late stoppages, I guess is what they're saying there, and delays in responding when a fighter is tapping out. Yeah, I saw that. Our recent event further underscored these concerns with the outcome of the Nelson versus Belcher fight, prompting reflection on the complexities of such judgments. Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA believes that bringing these issues to light is crucial for the continual improvement of our sport. We wish to acknowledge the Mississippi State Athletic Commission for its commendable openness to dialogue and improvement. Their willingness to review our concerns, particularly concerning the need for consistent and fair refereeing, is a testament to their unwavering commitment to the sport and its athletes. Mississippi remains a vital and beloved location for our events. Known for its passionate fight fans around the world, our commitment to returning to this great state is unwavering, and we are encouraged by the Commission's readiness to address and rectify the issues we've raised. Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA would like to extend its profound appreciation to the fighters, fans, and officials who contribute tirelessly to the success of these events. Your support and dedication are the pillars of Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA, and we remain steadfast in our commitment to upholding the highest standards of fairness and excellence in all of our endeavors. Thank you for your continued support and enthusiasm. Dean Toole. Okay. So, let's unpack that before we get into the fights. Yeah, I think that's something that sometimes fans don't realize, is that the officiating really is more controlled by the state than the promotion. The problem, though, is that when the officiating is not good, or, if the judging's bad, the reffing is bad, they make mistakes, that reflects on the promotion, because a lot of times fans just don't know. They think, oh, this is who, Gamebred hired for this or whatever, but it's like, yeah, it all comes down to the state athletic commission. So it's unfortunate because it's early on in Gamebred. I mean, this is their 6th event. Like, think about how many UFC, just pay-per-views alone. There have been almost 300 UFC pay-per-views alone. And this is their 6th event total for Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA. So, it's unfortunate that has to happen so early on, where it's like, it makes them kind of look bad, even though it's not really under their control. Cause yeah, there were some bad stoppages. The judging was questionable too. Well, let's get into it. So, the first fight of the night was Mike Sanford versus Alex Gordy. Mike Sanford won via a round one submission as a rear naked choke. And then Tyler Hill, he ended up defeating James Freeman via a round one TKO. So 2 first round finishes to kick off the card. Now here's where we go to some questionable judging, refereeing, whatever you want to call it. Refereeing, probably more so in this fight. So this was Chris Sarro and Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard, he's obviously very well known in MMA. If you don't know who Hector Lombard is and you're an MMA fan, do yourself a favor and look at his history, his fight history, his accomplishments. Oh my gosh, he's accomplished a lot in this sport and he's been around for a long time. And he's also been in BKFC. So this fight, well, kind of what happened was Hector Lombard was on top of this guy. I think he was on his back. He had him like flattened out maybe. I can't remember exactly. I think he had him flattened out on his back. And Chris Sarro really wasn't able to defend himself. I mean, the fight was over pretty much. But I guess when Hector was throwing the ground and pound, he threw one shot to the back of the head. But before that, his opponent tapped to the strikes, and the ref didn't do anything about it. So Hector was like talking to the ref, like, "Hey," and so he didn't want to keep hitting him, but he had to basically because the ref didn't stop it, and then I guess the ref stepped in and stopped it. But then they ruled it a DQ. So it was technically a win for Chris Sarro, which obviously, I mean, it was round 1 minute and 9 seconds when the fight was stopped. So Hector pretty much, he didn't even give the guy a chance. But, so it's like, yeah, obviously he didn't win the fight. It was DQ. So it was just really frustrating because it's like, okay, if there's one shot to the back of the head, then that's a warning to me. Like, that should be a warning, unless it's like really bad or if it looks like it was obviously done on purpose. I don't think this one was done on purpose, and also it wasn't like a major, hit to the back of the head. So now any hit to the back of the head is not fun, but yeah, I felt like this just deserved a warning in my opinion. And so they actually overturned it later, which was great to see. I'm glad they did because watching that, I was just like, no way are they gonna give that guy the win and DQ Hector Lombard for one shot to the back of the head and not give him a warning or anything. And then the weird stoppage, that just made it even worse because technically his opponent tapped already. So it was a mess. It was just an absolute mess. But impressive performance from Hector Lombard, of course. Always love watching him fight. So, yeah, but thankfully they overturned it. I guess, I don't know if that was Jorge Masvidal that decided to do that, or I don't know who was in charge of that, or how they were able to do that, but they did overturn it, supposedly, but it was still showing up. I'm going to look on Wikipedia and see if it's still showing up on there. But it was showing up as a DQ still on Sherdog. So I'm going to look up Hector Lombard real quick. Let's see if it still shows up. It's crazy that Hector Lombard is 45 and he's still fighting like this. It's crazy. Oh no, it's changed on Wikipedia, so it is updated. Good. Very good. Yeah, because he had not won a fight since 2014. So this is his first win since 2014. So glad to see it. Glad to see it. That would have really irritated me if they would have counted that as a loss for him. But anyways, moving on. The next fight after that was Francisco Trinaldo, another UFC vet, versus Sasha Palatnikov. And that was in a knee injury. So Sasha hurt his knee. They were grappling. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he kind of had his leg trapped in a weird way, and it like moved. Oh, it was kind of hard to watch. But yeah, Francisco Trinaldo ended up winning that fight. He would have won either way, I think, even without the injury. To be honest, he looked fantastic in there. And he's also 45. It's crazy seeing these guys fight like this at their age. It's absolutely nuts. And it's great because it gives them an opportunity to, be on a main card or be on a big card and still fight and get great exposure and, be able to do their thing. So, yeah, that was fun to watch. Francisco Trinaldo, he's incredible to watch. I really enjoyed that fight. And then Alex Nicholson versus Prince McLean. Oh my gosh, Alex Nicholson. Jeez, he's got some power. He has got some incredible power. He ended up getting a round one knockout. Now, this was another horrible stoppage. This is one of the worst stoppages I think I've seen all year. To be honest, this was horrible. The stoppage was so bad. Prince McLean was out and took 3 to 4, maybe 5 unnecessary blows to the head on the ground from Alex Nicholson. And they were hard shots. Hard shots. Alex Nicholson doesn't throw rabbit punches, guys. Like, these were hard shots. So he was already out, and I don't know how the ref didn't see that. He was stiff as a board. He couldn't move. And then gave me so much anxiety watching it. Like, it almost made it hard to enjoy, like, the win, the knockout. Because I was just, like, felt so bad for his opponent. I'm like, oh my god. Like, their brain is, kind of important. Let's try to protect it. So, that's literally the ref's entire job. But it's okay. Luckily, it seems like he's fine. And he was okay. But it took him a while to kind of regain consciousness and get back up. So, yeah, I hate to see that. But impressive performance from Alex Nicholson. Oh my gosh, he is terrifying. And especially in bare knuckle, like, man, he was made for that sport. Alex Nicholson was made for bare knuckle MMA. Like, that is so his thing. It's crazy. He's got insane power. And I feel like his power just only hits harder without the gloves on. It's insane. So, yeah, it was a great performance from Alex Nicholson. Excited to see what's next for him. And then the next fight was, hopefully I pronounced this right, Elias Alves de Silva versus Joshua Weems. So this was actually a really fun fight. Josh Weems, I mean, it was a third round submission win for Alves de Silva, but Josh Weems gave him a fun, tough fight. I mean, it was competitive, and it seemed like de Silva was just standing tall. He was, yeah, I mean, he just looked more confident, he looked more calm. Josh Weems was kind of moving around a lot, kind of frantic, using a lot of energy, it seemed like, moving around so much. And his footwork, honestly, it reminded me a lot of Dominic Cruz, the way that he moves around. It was really a really interesting fight. I really enjoyed this fight. This was probably, I watched these fights with my mom. This was probably her favorite fight of the night, besides the Joe Penafil fight. We really liked that one too, but she really liked this one. She liked the grappling. And Elias Alves de Silva, he has incredible grappling. It was really impressive. He's got great Muay Thai though too, and you can tell by the way he stands. Like, he's got that traditional Muay Thai stance, and his knees, his kicks. I mean, he just looked fantastic in there. But his grappling is incredible too. So he's dangerous no matter where you are. It seems like he's dangerous on the ground. He's dangerous on the feet. So yeah, that was a fantastic performance. He got a Kimura, and it was at 2 minutes 41 seconds of the third round. So yeah, and it almost looked like Josh Weems, like, maybe should have tapped a little sooner. I don't know. I mean, he's trying to be tough, but he was grimacing. And if you're watching a bare knuckle fight and they're grimacing, then they're in a lot of pain because, keep in mind, they're getting hit with bare knuckles. So yeah, but I was really impressed with him, and Josh Weems had some great moments in that fight too. I mean, I gotta give him credit. That was a really fun fight. So yeah, moving on to Curtis Millender versus Joel Bauman. This was a victory for Curtis Millender via split decision. I don't know that I agree with that. I thought Joel Bauman won the first and I want to say the third round, or maybe the second round. Yeah, I think it was the first and the second round. And then I thought Curtis Millender won the third round. But the first round I thought could have, it was close. But I thought Joel Bauman probably should have won. I don't know. It wasn't a robbery necessarily. I thought it was a really competitive fight. I thought it was a really great fight. It was well matched. I don't know. Yeah. I was expecting Joel Bauman to get it. I was expecting that. But Curtis Millender, he threw a lot of leg kicks, and I'm wondering if that kind of played into it with the decision, because he did throw a lot of leg kicks. He did a fantastic job working the legs, and yeah, they both had some really great moments in that fight. That was a really fun fight. But yeah, I was expecting it to go to Joel, but I like Curtis Millender, so I wasn't like mad about it. I mean, he's a vet, an MMA vet, so love to see it. But anyways, moving on to probably my favorite fight of the night. Joe Penafiel, he's like fight of the night material. That guy should have fight of the night tattooed on his body. He is made for bare knuckle MMA. This is like, I mean, even if he doesn't win, he is so fun to watch. You cannot look away when he is fighting. Like, he is so fun to watch. The way he moves, his style. He kind of fights with his hands down. He sneaks his punches. Like, it's really fun. And Brandon Davis, he looked incredible. It was a really fun fight. I thought Brandon Davis just looked a little bit more technical, a little bit more, staying a little bit more calm, which is hard to do when you're in there with Joe Penafiel because he wants to make the fight wild. He's got that wild style. So he wants to, get you into a war. He wants to test your limits. He wants to test your heart, test your will. That is what Joe Penafiel does. And he's really hard to finish. He's the type of guy where, you'll hit him and then you'll think, oh my gosh, how is he going to survive? And then he comes back and hits you with a barrage of punches or hits you with a kick or something crazy. So he's just so unpredictable. And he's really, really fun to watch. If you've never watched him fight, look him up on YouTube. And his opponent, Brandon Davis, yeah, he looked great. I was really impressed with that performance. And just a great fight overall. It went to decision, so it was a decision win for Brandon Davis. I thought he won 2 out of the three rounds. I can't remember which round it was, but I scored one of the rounds for Joe. Yeah, I thought 30-27 was a little much for Brandon Davis. I didn't think he won all 3 rounds. Because Joe had some great moments in that fight. He really did. And yeah, he made it fun. He made it a war. He made it exciting, like as usual. Always exciting to watch him fight. But yeah, that was fun. I'm excited to see both of them fight again, honestly. You could put Joe Penafiel on every single card, and it might be fight of the night every time. I mean, he's a monster. So, but actually, I don't know what was fight of the night. I didn't even look that up. Or I don't know if they even announced fight of the night or performance of the night or any of that stuff. Let's see. I mean, that had to be fight of the night, right? Oh no, they put Jason Knight versus Randy Costa was fight of the night. See, I feel like I feel like that fight was a little lopsided for me to give that fight of the night. To me, fight of the night has to be like a competitive fight. I don't know. I think Brandon Davis versus Joe Penafiel was fight of the night. I think Randy Costa versus Jason Knight was performance of the night for Randy Costa. Oh my gosh. Which that was the co-main event. So we're getting up to almost to the main event. Yeah, I think jeez. Randy Costa is scary in bare knuckle MMA. He is scary. That was an incredible performance. He just absolutely demolished Jason Knight, and he did it in 2 minutes and 34 seconds. 2 minutes, 34 seconds. And the damage he was able to do in that short amount of time is just unreal. Unreal. Yeah, Randy Costa. I don't know, you could probably put him in a main event after that. You could probably put him in a main event. I wonder if they could get him like a well-known UFC vet. That would be really cool. Or like somebody that's kind of well-known in BKFC. What weight class is he in? Is he 145 or 135? I can't remember. Let's see. I'm gonna play matchmaker right now. Oh, he's a bantamweight. Oh my god. You know who I would love to see him fight? I would love to see him fight Keith Richardson. That would be crazy. Because here's the thing about Keith Richardson. If Keith Richardson ever went to bare knuckle MMA, which I don't know, he's doing so well in BKFC, it's like why would you? But he's got crazy submission game too. That's what people don't realize. Because when he was in MMA, he was known for his submissions. Then when he went to BKFC, people were like, "What are you doing? Why are you going to BKFC? You're a submission guy." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. Yeah, my stand-up's better than you think." And then he went to BKFC, and he's 4-0. He's champ now. Man, what if they even brought Randy Costa to BKFC? We could do that too. I don't know. I don't know what kind of you know. I guess it depends on what's gonna pay him the most or what makes the most sense to him. If he's gonna go continue with Gamebred FC, he said he wanted to continue with Gamebred FC, but it's like I don't know. I kind of want to see him in BKFC. He's got some hands. He's got some hands. I think it'd be really interesting. But also, if they did it in bare knuckle MMA, yeah. Can you imagine him versus Keith Richardson? Because Keith, he's got that crazy he's got incredible power, incredible speed. He cause he switches stances, so he's really hard to hit. He's really hard to figure out. Um, I don't know. They're in the same weight class. Just saying. But was that a featherweight fight though? I think that was a featherweight fight. I don't even know. But if they ever want to fight at 135, just saying. Just saying. That would be really interesting, especially in BKFC. See them just box each other, bare knuckle boxing. That would be fun. But Randy Costa would have to probably do a couple fights in BKFC before he could get Keith Richardson. At least like one or two fights, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. He didn't really have the best run in the UFC, and he got submitted his last fight in the UFC. So I just wonder how he would do against somebody like Keith who has like some real bare knuckle boxing skills and MMA skills. That's the thing about Keith. He's so well rounded. So well rounded. He's super strong too. So I think I might take Keith in that fight, but he's really good. Randy Costa's really good. So we'll see what's next for him. I don't know. He's definitely got star potential for sure. Then the main event, Alan Belcher versus Roy Nelson. Alan Belcher won this fight via split decision. I thought that was I never say this, guys. I never use this word because I think sometimes people overuse it, but this was a robbery. This was a robbery. Okay. I don't use that word often. I try to save it for the times where, I don't like to cry wolf, but that was an absolute robbery. Roy Nelson won the fight. It wasn't the best performance, though. Well, it was a good performance. Considering he's 47 years old. But it wasn't, it wasn't what everybody wanted to see. Everybody wanted to see him throw hands. But it's like, yeah, if you want to win the fight and you're Roy Nelson, you've got a 30-pound weight advantage on your opponent. That's your best. Like Elon Musk calls it, the walrus. You just lay on top of them. But he did more than that. He was throwing ground and pound. Like, he did more than just lay on top of him. He didn't just, I don't know. But just the control time alone in that fight was crazy. So it's like, how do you control an entire fight and lose the fight? That makes no sense to me. Not in MMA, you know. This is, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense how you can get that much control time. I mean, the control time had to be at least 10, 12 minutes, probably, somewhere around there. It was insane. So, yeah, I disagree with that decision wholeheartedly. So, but I guess Alan Belcher is going to fight JDS now. Well, supposedly. I don't know. I don't know if JDS will want to do another fight. I highly doubt it. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We're probably going to have to offer him a lot of money, though. So, we'll see if that happens. Dean Toole's got his work cut out for him, honestly, with these matchmaking and getting these guys on these cards. Man, he's done a great job. I mean, look how many UFC vets. He had Alan Belcher, Roy Nelson, Randy Costa, Jason Knight, Brandon Davis, Joe Penfield, not a UFC bet, but super, super fun guy to watch. Curtis Molinder, Josh Weems, like, yeah, Hector Lombard, Francisco Trinaldo, like, this is just insane. The matchmaking, goated matchmaking. Thank you, Dean Toole, for your impressive work. We love it. We love it. Anyways, moving on to stand-up fight series. So this Saturday, I went to the stand-up fight series kickboxing event in St. Charles, Missouri, and this event was put on by Chad Mueller. It was an incredible event. Thank you, Chad Mueller, and everybody that is a part of stand-up fight series for putting on an incredible event. I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. It was exciting. They had kickboxing and Muay Thai. So that was really, really fun to watch. My coffee's already cold. Great. That's frustrating. But yeah, it was a great event. It was a lot of fun. I just love going to combat sports events. It's so much fun. It's like the best thing ever. I can't do it all the time because otherwise I did 2 weekends in a row. So I went to Shamrock the weekend before and then this Saturday stand-up fight series. Yeah, it gets exhausting, I will admit. I need a break. I think I might do one more event this year, and then I think I'm done. So, we'll figure out which event I'm going to go to at the end of this. But, yeah. So, let's just start with the beginning of the card. So, gosh, there were so many fights. I don't even think I have all of them on here. Let's see. So, yeah, I don't even have all of them listed on here because I am horrible at taking notes. Jeez. So the first fight of the night was a debut fight for Brandon Murphy, and he was fighting Caleb Tracy. And I think Caleb Tracy won that fight. Let me see if I have it written down. Yeah, he ended up... Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. So this was the first fight of the night. This was crazy. It was an elbow that knocked out Brandon Murphy. And yeah, Caleb Tracy, he fights out of Peoria Athletic Club. He was 2-1 going into this, so he's now 3-1. This is at 172 pounds. So yeah, super impressive performance. Peoria Athletic Club, that's where Reis Newman, he's the guy that won the national title in the main event. That's where he trains. And they had a great run on this card. So yeah, super excited to see more talent coming out of that gym. That was impressive. That elbow was just nasty. And that was a Muay Thai fight. So Muay Thai fights kick off the card. Super fun. And then we had Anderson Allen versus Cortland Conley. And Anderson Allen won this fight via unanimous decision. I thought this was a close fight. I thought it was a fun fight. I honestly wasn't really sure who won. I didn't realize how much harder it is to score kickboxing than MMA. Because I feel like MMA, it's a different pace. And it's easier to kind of see what's happening, I feel like. With kickboxing, it's kind of harder because it's like, I guess you have to like count the punches and kicks. Unless it's like an obvious difference, it's kind of hard to score. So I wasn't sure how to score that fight. So I was just like, I don't know. But Anderson Allen won the fight. It was a really good fight. It was really fun, competitive. And then Jalen Scott versus Danny Har. That fight went to decision as well. See who won that fight. Danny Har won that fight. I thought that was a pretty clear win for him. That was both of their debut. That was a really fun fight. And then Donald Hogue versus Keyshawn Lacey. Ooh, this was awesome. So, yeah, Donald Hogue. This was his debut. He was fighting Keyshawn Lacey, and Keyshawn was 2-1 going into this fight, and this was at 172 pounds. And Keyshawn, he ended up getting a TKO in the third round. So that was absolutely insane. He was stringing together combinations at the end. It was a strong finish. I don't know how many punches he must have thrown in a row, but it was a lot. Like, he was just backing him up against the ring, just pouring it on him, and got the TKO in the third round, kind of at the last minute. I mean, he got it 1 minute, 23 seconds, so he didn't have a ton of time left. So he was hungry for that finish, and yeah, that was incredible. And then the next fight was Troy Harvey Valiant versus Jabari Dunn. So Troy was 1-2 going into this. Jabari was 0-2, and Troy looked incredible. I thought this was a fantastic performance. It went to decision, and Troy won. I think the score, I don't remember what the scores were from the judges' scorecards, but it was a very clear win for Troy. He just absolutely put on a clinic, and it was incredible. I mean, he looked so good in this fight. His kicks were fantastic. He was throwing these really nice leg kicks too, and it was like he was beating him up, but he wasn't like brawling or anything. Like, it was very technical. This was kind of one of the more technical performances of the fight, I thought. So yeah, congratulations to Troy, because that was a beautiful performance. Even though he didn't get a finish or anything, it was really fun to watch, and he looked fantastic in there. He looked like he's really dialed in on his technique. So that was awesome. And then Terrell Ursey versus Tyler Lust. This was a heavyweight fight. This was crazy. So I was not expecting such a fast pace for a heavyweight fight. They were swinging for the fences, but they were doing it really fast too, considering they're, over 200 pounds. It was crazy. I could not believe the pace that they were putting on. So that was a really fun fight. I really enjoyed that one. And yeah, it was both of their debut, and it was really fun. They were throwing. And Tyler Lust ended up winning that fight. And I think it was in the second round, maybe? I think it was in the second round. Second round TKO, 33 seconds into the second round is when he won that fight. So then after that fight, we had Austin Bailey versus Nicholas Rivera. This was the first win on the card for Maryville Muay Thai, which is Chad Mueller's gym. And I know they've got a ton of great talent there. Obviously, with it being a Muay Thai gym, you expect very good technical stand-up, which is pretty much what we got. Nicholas Rivera, he looked fantastic. That fight I believe it went to decision. Yeah, it went to decision, and he won the decision there, improved to 3-1. So that was great. That was 147 pounds, that fight. And then after that was one of my favorite fights on the card, Za Leon versus Ty Prackett. And when Chad was telling me about this fight, I got really excited because he had mentioned that Za Leon is from Myanmar, or I guess his background is, Myanmar is where he's his original descent, and Ty Prackett is half Thai. So what more could you ask for in a Muay Thai fight? This was incredible. This was a 120 pound fight. So, smaller weight class, but you know what that usually means that means they are going to put on a crazy pace, which is exactly what they did. Ty Prackett looked absolutely incredible from start to finish, from his walkout to the end of the fight afterwards. Like, he is a showman. Ty Prackett is a showman. He just has something about him. He definitely seems like someone that could be a future star, in my opinion. I think that he's taking this very seriously, and it's very obvious. And I was there with my friend Eric Brown. He hosts the St. Louis podcast, and we actually did a podcast last night, which I'm going to release on Friday. And we kind of talked about the event because he came with me, and he said that was his favorite fight on the card, and he thought that Ty Prackett looked like he had the best technique of anybody on the card. And I was like, wow. And it was insane. It was insane. He just, I don't know. He's impressive. And this was only his second fight ever. Like, it's crazy. I mean, he's done some point kickboxing tournaments and stuff like that, but it's just insane. I mean, he's half Thai, so it's in his blood. It's definitely in his blood, and it's obvious, but I think the work he's putting in with Chad Mueller, and Chad said he picks up things really fast. He picks up things really easily. So I think he's got huge potential. I think his potential is through the roof. And he's already treating it like he's in the pros. That's what I love about Ty. He's treating this like he's already in one championship. He's treating this like he's already a Muay Thai champion. Like, he is treating this so seriously, and I love to see that. And he is somebody that is going to draw a crowd. The crowd was going crazy during this fight. It was absolutely insane. I was so impressed with him, especially like his dexterity in his legs. Like, some of the kicks that he threw. He threw a front kick right up the middle, and I think it hit Za like right on the chin. It wasn't like super hard, but it was just a very technical kick that he threw. And he threw I can't remember, he threw something else where it almost looked like he was jumping in the air. Like, it was crazy. He was flying around the ring. It was absolutely incredible. And Zalian, of course, was wanting to engage in the clinch, being a little shorter fighter. Ty, he's really tall for a 120-pound weight class. He's really tall for that. So Za, of course, probably wanting to get inside, close the distance, use the clinch to throw some strikes. But Ty was just, oh my gosh, yeah. He ended up winning the fight via unanimous decision. I almost just want to see Ty in a 5-round fight right away, just because I wanted to see more of it. I felt like I didn't get enough. But he won every single round. I mean, it was complete domination, a complete clinic from Ty Prackett, in my opinion. He just looked fantastic in there. I am really excited to see his next fight. He's definitely somebody who will be able to draw a crowd. He's somebody that people are going to remember him. Like, I guarantee you, everybody that went to that event remembers Ty Prackett after that event. I guarantee you they remember him. Because he just stood out. He stood out. He was probably the biggest standout of the entire card. His personality, his showmanship, his skills, his technical skills, and just his whole persona is amazing. So I'm really excited for the future of Ty Prackett. I think we've got a future star in our hands. I mean, it's so early, so you never know, but it seems like the way he's training to the level that he wants to be at. He's not training to the level that he's at. So he's not training like an amateur. He's training like a champion, and I love that. So, yeah, shout out to Ty Prackett for just being freaking awesome. That was that was amazing. It was so entertaining. And then there was supposed to be a women's fight on the card, Mary Dalton versus Gabrielle Labby, but I believe there was an issue with a weight cut, so they had to cancel that fight. And then, so next on the card was another Maryville Muay Thai. By the way, Ty Prackett, he trains at Maryville Muay Thai under Chad Mueller. And then another Maryville Muay Thai fighter, Trey Lewis. He was fighting Nate Schaefer, and this was at 182 pounds. This fight did not last very long, which did not surprise me at all. Trey Lewis ended up getting the knockout in round 1. I believe it was like a minute and a half or something. It was under 2 minutes. He got the knockout, and jeez, he's got some crazy power in his hands. He's a problem. He is a problem. Trey Lewis is terrifying. I don't know how he's gonna get a fight after that. I don't know anybody that's gonna want to fight him in the amateurs. So we'll see. We will see. I mean, he beat Nate Schaefer, who was 4-3, and Trey Lewis was 2-1. So the guy he fought had more experience, and Trey was just like, yeah, whatever. And even in the beginning of the fight, Nate got some good shots on him. He had some great moments in the fight. I really thought he had some great moments, but Trey just has that crazy power, and he unleashed it. He unleashed it. So really excited about Trey Lewis. He definitely has a lot of potential. I'm really excited to see what's next for him if they can get him a fight. Hopefully he will be on the next card because I want to see him fight again. That was freaking awesome. And then we had Marcellus Edwards versus Dan Harina. This was fight of the night. Well, okay, the main event was fight of the night, but besides the main event, because of course that was fight of the night, guys. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But I think of the fights on the undercard, this was fight of the night. This was the best fight on the card besides the main event, in my opinion. Dan Harina just had that dog mentality in this fight. It was very obvious, and I think his training at the church, he's actually training with one of his former opponents, James Seltzer. He's training with him at the church, and which I think is really interesting to train with somebody who beat you. I feel like who can you learn more from than somebody who beat you in a fight? So I think it's super, super smart for Dan to train with him. And obviously they have enough respect for each other that, they train together. And I think that's freaking awesome. I love that. And going into this, Dan was 5-4. And this was at 205, which I think this is definitely where Dan belongs. I think he belongs at 205. He was fighting at heavyweight for a little bit, and I think I definitely like him better at 205. But honestly, even though he didn't win the fight, it was close. It was a close fight. I honestly wasn't sure who was going to go to. I kind of had a feeling Marcellus might get it just because there was, I can't remember, I think it was the first round. Yeah, it was probably the first round that he really kind of, it was obvious he won the first round, and the second round was the one that was kind of close. So I wasn't sure how they were going to score it, but wasn't super surprised. But at the same time, I wouldn't have been surprised if they scored it for Dan, honestly. It was a great fight. It was so much fun to watch. And Dan in the third round, man, I almost wish that it would have gone longer. Like if it was, I think it would have been fun if that was a title fight, just because then we would have been able to see 2 more rounds. So I wish it would have been 5 rounds because I think there would have been a finish if it would have been. I think Dan might have been able to finish him. But man, Marcellus was throwing some crazy leg kicks, and he was eating up Dan's leg. He was throwing some nice body shots. So he had a great game plan going into this. I think Marcellus knew what he had to do to win this fight, and he delivered on his game plan. But Dan looked fantastic, honestly. I was impressed with him. It looks like he's come a long way with his skill and his abilities. I think training at the church has definitely done him some good. I think that he's just a different fighter now. I really do. I mean, I think he's got that. That's that thing they have at the church. They have that dog mentality. That's really kind of what they have there. And I think being around those types of fighters, I think has made him into a new fighter and kind of taken him to another level. It's Dan Harina 2.0, that's what I think it is. So I'm really excited to see Dan fight again. I'm excited to see Marcellus fight again. If he does another kickboxing fight, I would love to see it, because I was honestly very impressed with both of them in that fight. I thought it was just a fun fight. It was a BreBre certified banger. That was just fantastic. I loved it. I loved every second of that fight. I was on the edge of my seat. I really had a lot of fun watching it. So, it was, and Dan threw a Superman punch in that fight that really got my attention, and I got it on video, thankfully. It was awesome. And then he threw like a punch and a kick combination and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was really fun. But, then moving on to the title fights. So Ethan Huff versus Max Reed. This was at 147 pounds for the IKF Missouri-Nebraska title. And Max Reed is another Maryville Muay Thai fighter. He looked incredible in this fight, honestly. And Ethan Huff, he looked incredible too. I thought Max was going to win the scorecards. I kind of had a feeling that it could go split decision though, because it was such a fun competitive fight. But I wasn't super surprised when they read the decision, but at the same time, I thought Max edged it. I thought he did a little bit better in the fight, but at the same time, it was, I don't like to get too, I don't know, I'd have to watch it again before I would just say, oh, Max won the fight or Ethan won the fight. But watching it the first time, watching it live, I thought that Max was going to win. Um, but like I said, very competitive fight. Ethan looked great. I mean, they both did. They both looked great in this fight. It was a really fun fight. Max was previously undefeated. He was 4-0 going into this, and Ethan was 3-1, and he was coming from Nebraska. So Max Reed fighting out of Maryville Muay Thai, Ethan Huff fighting out of United Kickboxing and MMA, Omaha, Nebraska. So he drove in all the way from Nebraska to fight, and yeah, I mean now he's improved to 4-1. So that was really exciting. Honestly, it just kind of shows that like this is legit. Like it's not fixed, it's not rigged, it's legit because otherwise all these Maryville Muay Thai and all these hometown guys would have ended up getting the decisions. But the fact that, it just shows how good the matchmaking is. The matchmaking on this, round of applause for Chad Mueller. Matchmaking was fantastic on this card, and it usually always is. But like the last card was great matchmaking too, but this card just, yeah, great job. Great job. These fights were fantastic. Like every fight, there wasn't a bad fight on this card. There wasn't a boring fight. There wasn't a bad performance. Like it was amazing. I was really impressed. Um, Moving on to the IKF Missouri Ohio title fight, Austin Miller versus Brian Miller. Oh man, Austin Miller is such a great fighter. I love watching him fight. He was on the last card, and he's just got so much technical skill. And man, it really honestly kind of stung to watch this one because Brian Miller ended up winning the fight. He won, I think it was the third round. He got a TKO. So he ended up TKOing Austin Miller, and Austin Miller got dropped a few times before that. So I kind of had a feeling that was the direction the fight was going, but of course I'm still in the crowd cheering for Austin. We both train at ES MMA and Fitness, so I of course want to cheer for a teammate, for somebody from our gym, and support him any way that I can. And honestly, the last time I saw him fight, he really impressed me. So I was kind of, expecting possibly a win from him on this one, but I didn't really know much about his opponent. I didn't know. I'm just not as involved in the kickboxing world as I am in MMA, so I didn't really know how to, predict it or anything. But at the same time, I'm gonna root for Austin no matter what. So, yeah, but he looked good. There was some. The first round was tough. That was definitely a great round for Brian Miller. But Austin, he did have some great moments. And the fact that he got back up after some of those knockdowns was, oh my gosh. I mean, and this is 172 pounds. This is a bigger weight class. And they hit harder. They hit harder in these heavier weight classes. So, I mean, you're eating these shots from, bigger guys. And it was tough to watch, just because it's like, yeah, you want to see your friends win, of course, yeah, you always want to see your friends win, but Brian Miller looked great. I mean, he had more experience going into this. Austin Miller had mentioned that I believe he was 5-0 going into this fight, so yeah, I think, actually, let me pull up the tail of the tape on this one. Let me look at the stats, because I'm curious. Yeah, oh yeah, he was 5-0 and he had 3 knockouts, his opponent, Brian Miller. And Austin was 3-0 with 1 knockout. So, props to Austin for taking this fight. He's fighting a guy who has 2 more fights than him, 3 knockouts. I mean, yeah, he's got guts to go in there and do that for sure. Let's see. Oh, here we go. the tail of the tape. So Austin Miller, 25 years old. Brian Miller, 31. They're both 6 feet tall, 172 pounds. Austin Miller, 3 wins, 0 losses. Oh, it says his opponent was 4-0. Why are these records always never, like, these kickboxing records, you look it up one place and it says one thing, and then you look it up another place, it says another thing. And then on the sheet it says 1 and 2, which obviously that's not correct. I guess I'll have to do more research to find out. But I could have sworn that Austin said he was 5-0. So I'll take Austin's word for it. I think he knows what he's talking about. It's literally his opponent. So, yeah, and oh yeah, this is wrong because it says 0 KOs for Brian Miller. Obviously, that is not correct. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so Austin trains out of ES MMA and Fitness, and Brian Miller fights out of Revolution Fight and Fitness. I believe he's from Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, he's from Cleveland. So, yeah, like I said, Austin had some great moments. I mean, he got back up multiple times when, some people would have quit right then and there. And then he even tried to get up the last time, but he just looked defeated. It was rough, because Austin's such a great guy. Such a nice guy, such a positive person. Like, every time I see him at the gym, he's greeting me with a smile. He's like, "What's up, Bree? How are you doing?" And even sometimes when I'm hitting the bag or if I'm like drilling with somebody at the gym, he'll kind of take a look at my technique and kind of give me some pointers, which I really appreciate. And and I never ask him to do it. He's always just like giving me help and giving me advice when I need it and trying to help me become a better, I guess, athlete or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a fighter, I'm not an athlete, but getting better with my technique, in case I ever do want to compete. It's nice to have people like that around you that want to help you get better. I mean, there's plenty of other people at the gym that deserve, attention and help. And, I'm, still kind of new in this. I've never fought before. I've never competed. And for people in the gym to go out of their way to help me, I really appreciate. And he's gone out of his way to help me with, kind of helping me grow my podcast. And he came on my other podcast too. And I know he listens to this show. So I just really appreciate having people like that in my life and at the gym who want to support me and help me and just make our team better, make our team stronger. So I know Austin will be back. I know he will. And I think sometimes the best thing to happen to a fighter is losing a fight. Getting TKO'd for the first time, getting finished for the first time. Sometimes maybe that's what you need to get that hunger inside you, And so I think Austin's going to come back with a vengeance. I think he's going to come back with a purpose. He's going to come back looking to prove something, which is always fun to see. So I'm really excited to see Austin Miller get back in there. Of course, you want to take as much time off as you need and go back to the lab, see what you need to work on. And I'm not a coach, so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he should have done this, he should have done that. I'm not his coach. Eric Steenberg is his coach. So I'll let Eric Steenberg tell him what he needs to improve on. But, or maybe he was just fighting a tougher guy. I mean, Brian Miller had more experience than him. And you could kind of tell, he just looked like he looked like he had a little bit more experience. And with him being, 6 years older, that's a long time of training. And Austin Miller's only been training for like 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, I think don't sweat it, Austin. You lost this fight, but like seriously, you'll be back. No doubt about it. And there's no better time to lose fights than in your amateur career, because I think Austin, honestly, the last time I saw him fight, I was like, he has the potential to go pro, I think. And if he ever wants to go pro, that is not the time you want to have these things happen. You want these things to happen, like Keith Richardson was saying. You want to be battle tested. You want to be ready to go before you turn pro. So I think this is the perfect time for this to happen. I think it's a great learning experience, a great opportunity for him to grow and learn from this. And I think that he will come back way stronger. I think he will come back, like I said, with a vengeance. I think he will really learn from this and take what he needs to take from it and improve what he needs to improve. He'll be back. He will be back. So, but congratulations to Brian Miller winning the IKF Missouri, Ohio Ohio title. It was a great performance. Like I said, I was really impressed with him. His technique looked great. And honestly, Austin's technique looked great too. They both looked fantastic. But yeah, it looked like Brian Miller was just a step ahead and ended up getting the TKO. So yeah. Moving on to the co-main event, Cameron Stephan versus Carter Rustio. So Cameron Stephan was 10-4, Carter Rustio was 7-2. So and Chad had told me about this fight. He had told me that Max Reed and Carter, they had done a camp in Tulum, Mexico, for this fight. So Carter Rustio is taking this very seriously, I think, which is fantastic to see. He trains at a Maryville Muay Thai. So does Max Reed, and it was interesting watching this fight. It was a very fun fight, very competitive. I really enjoyed it. It was very technical. And Chad had mentioned that Cameron Stephan apparently trains with Luke Lessie, which Luke Lessie just got signed to one championship. So props to Carter for taking a really tough opponent. And Carter apparently is a nurse, so it's not like he's fighting full time. Like, he takes a month off apparently and goes and trains. And, so he's taking it seriously, but at the same time, he's got a full-time career on top of this. And fighting Cameron Stephan, who, if he's fighting with Luke Lessie, then yeah, he's the real deal. Or training with Luke Lessie, then yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. And I don't know when does Luke make his debut? Because I definitely will want to pay attention to that one. So let's take a look here. See if I can find it. Okay, Friday, December 8th. He is fighting. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, I'm going to have to make sure to tune into that card. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was a really competitive, fun fight. Cameron Stephan won the fight. I agreed 100% with that decision. It went to decision, and it went all 5 rounds. It was so much fun to watch. So much fun. A great co-main event. But let's get to the main event, because this was obviously the star of the show. This was... It lived up to everything I thought it would be and more. The main event was so amazing. It was so amazing. This is a great fight. One of the best fights I've seen in a while, whether it be kickboxing, MMA. Like, this was a great fight. Like, even... Gosh, it's hard to believe this was an amateur fight. Honestly. This... Oh my god, it was such... Like, guys, you have to go watch this. I don't think it's up on YouTube yet, but once it is, please go watch it. It was so good. Because Patrick Vega is a dog. He is not human. Patrick Vega is a Terminator. He was eating these kicks and punches and knees, and oh my god. It was insane. I couldn't believe some of the shots he was taking. And kept putting it on Reis Newman. I mean, Reis Newman got banged up too. So it was a banger. It was a, BreBre certified banger. This fight was, oh my god. Wow. Wow. And Reis Newman looked fantastic in this fight. His technique was on point. He threw a spinning back kick in this fight. It was a beautiful spinning back kick. Wow. Just wow. I don't even know what to say. Oh gosh. I could have watched that fight over and over again. Like, that, it was so good. It was so, the crowd was going crazy. And it's like, styles make fights too. And Patrick Vega's got that style where he just will not back down. And then Reis Newman, he's really technical, but he's also a dog too. And he can eat some shit. He's got a chin too. They both have a chin. And Reis was, expecting to get a finish on this one. But he expected a war. But he was expecting to get a finish. And even though he didn't, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of glad it went all 5 rounds, because I didn't want to stop watching it. I didn't want it to be over. It was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun. Patrick Vega, wow. Man, I think both of these guys have a lot of potential. Even though Patrick lost the fight, He made it fun. He made it competitive. He made it a dogfight. He came forward, and he fought a guy who honestly has been probably training longer than him, a guy who has more experience than him, and a guy who has fought tougher competition than him. So Patrick Vega, even though he's 9-0, he was fighting a guy who was just absolute monster. Reis Newman is the real deal. His experience is crazy, and he has MMA experience too. That's the crazy thing. So, man, that was fun. That was fun. I almost want to see Patrick Vega box. Like, I want to see him kind of learn boxing and box at some point. I think that'd be really fun. And obviously, like, he's a great kickboxer. No reason to stop doing kickboxing, but I think it'd be fun to see him box too. If he ever wants to complete a side quest and go do a boxing fight, I'll come watch it, Patrick. Just saying. That was freaking awesome. I think there's a lot of fighters at the church that would probably do great in BKFC. Trey Crawford, I think he would be fantastic in BKFC. I think their vibe at their gym, that would be, oh my gosh, they would make some monsters in BKFC. If it, I'm just saying. I mean, I know it's intense, it's crazy, but think about it. You know, even though you have the cuts and you have all that, there is less, I guess, what you would say, injuries. There's no leg kicks or any of that, fun stuff. So you don't have to worry about breaking your leg, tearing your ACL as much. I mean, you can still get injured boxing, for sure. You can break your hand, you can get those injuries, but, I mean, there's some injuries in kickboxing and MMA that can be career-ending. So, it's not as hard on your body. I don't know. The church, man, some of their fighters, I cannot imagine what they would do in BKFC. It would be amazing. Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. But I love watching them kickboxing too. So, you do whatever you guys want to do, but I'm just throwing some ideas. Just saying. I'm sure David Feldman would love to have some of you. But, yeah, so Reis Newman won the fight, obviously. I thought it was pretty clear that he won. But, like I said, very fun, competitive, fun fight. And Patrick Vega was pouring it on him at one point. He threw just strung together some combinations. And that's really where Patrick shines, is when he's throwing hands. It really is. When he's got you backed up against the fence or backed up against the ropes and just stringing together punches, that's where Patrick really shows his skill. He makes it a dog fight. He makes it a war. And he makes you fight his fight. It's really what he does. So, I love it. He kind of reminds me, just his whole mentality kind of reminds me a little bit of Keith Richardson and some of the other bare knuckle boxers. Just his whole vibe. I love watching him fight. He's amazing. Yeah. That was a great fight. I cannot even stress it enough how amazing that fight was. So, thank you to all the fighters. Every single one of the fighters on this card did a fantastic job. They all looked amazing. They all gave it their all. And you can tell that they were taking this event seriously. They were taking their fights seriously. Even if it was their debut or they're undefeated or whatever the case is. They all looked fantastic. They all gave it 100%. So you got to give the props to all the fighters. And yeah, I just appreciate every single one of them for getting in there and having the guts to step in that ring and go toe-to-toe with their opponent and put it all out there, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. So props to all the fighters and congratulations to all the winners. It was a great event. Shout out to Chad Mueller for putting on a great event. He always does. And I will be back to the next one. So let me know when the next one is because I'm excited to attend. Just saying. But moving on. So let's talk a little bit about UFC before we get off of here. I noticed that Alex Pereira won. I didn't get to watch the whole event, but I did go back and watch Pereira and Aspinall's performances. So, which one should we talk about first? I guess Aspinall. Wow. Aspinall is so good. I almost want to see him fight John Jones. How do you guys think that? Tell me in the comments, how do you think Tom Aspinall versus John Jones plays out? Because here's the thing about Tom Aspinall. He's not just a power puncher. He's not just a kickboxer. Here's why Tom Aspinall is a problem. Tom Aspinall is a problem because he moves. He kind of moves like Cyril Gane almost. Like his speed and his technicality. Incredible movement, especially for heavyweight, his physique. He's got a great physique for that weight class. And he's well-rounded too. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's got great kickboxing. He's got power in his hands. So he is dangerous no matter where you are, honestly. I think John Jones definitely probably has the edge on the ground, but on the feet, yeah, I'm taking Tom Aspinall, I think. I don't know. I think John Jones could probably, if anybody could do it, John Jones could probably figure out a way to win the fight. But ultimately, I don't know. Honestly, I'd like to see him fight Francis too. I think that would be a great fight. But wow. And how many fights? He hasn't had that many fights in the UFC. Let me see how many he's had. He's 14-3. He's accomplished a lot in a short period of time, I feel like. And the crazy thing is like he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. The only loss he has in the UFC was the knee injury with Curtis Blades. Before that, he had a couple losses. He had a DQ, so that, I guess, it's hard to count that as a loss, but it's still a loss. And then he was submitted, and that was in 2015, so 8 years ago. So, yeah, hasn't really faced a ton of adversity besides getting injured. And then obviously, a little bit of a layoff there, about a year layoff. Yeah, he's got wins over Jake Collier, Andrei Arlovsky, Sergey Spivak, Alex Volkov, Marcin Tybura, and now Pavlovich. Yeah, he's a problem. He is an absolute problem. He's got 6 Performance of the Night bonuses out of, 8 fights? Yeah, 8 UFC fights, 6 out of the 8 Performance of the Night. Jeez. That is crazy. Wow. Shortest average fight time in UFC history. 2 minutes, 10 seconds is his average fight time. Wow, my God. Jeez. Third highest number of significant strikes landed per minute in UFC history, 7.72. That is crazy, especially for a heavyweight. Largest striking differential in UFC history, 4.95. Man. He's a monster. Yeah, maybe he could beat John Jones. Maybe that's not such a crazy thing to say. I don't know. But I'm excited to see. I wish they wouldn't have done that as an interim fight. Just make him the champ. So dumb. John Jones isn't going to fight him. He's not. If you're John Jones and you see that, you're like, okay, I'm retiring now. Honestly. Or maybe John Jones will go to PFL and fight Francis. Who knows? Who knows? A lot can happen. I mean, he's going to be out for at least 8 months, probably a year, so we'll see. But, yeah. That was really interesting. And then, how about Alex Pereira? Jeez. That guy's so scary. He moves up to light heavyweight for a title fight. Well, he moved up to light heavyweight before that. Had a decent performance against Jan. It wasn't, probably what everybody was expecting. But Jan's a tough guy. So what do you think is going to happen? But then he fights one of the scariest guys in the division. Probably one of the scariest guys ever in the UFC. Just not only his fighting style, but his whole persona. He's just Yuri is an interesting guy. He's a really interesting guy. Wow, I love him. I think he's great. Even though he lost the fight, I really am excited to see him again. He's just so entertaining. So entertaining. His whole persona and everything, yeah. But, yeah, it was. Jeez. It was an interesting fight, though. I will say that. It was an interesting fight. There was a little bit of grappling in the fight. Yuri had some good moments. But, yeah, Pereira's accuracy and his timing, I think, is his key. Obviously, he's got insane power, but I think it's his timing has a lot to do with it. And the way he's able to land punches when his opponent is moving. Like, when his opponent is falling down, he's still able to sneak punches in. I think that's one thing I've noticed about Pereira, is that he always finds the target. He seems like he always finds the target when he's throwing punches. And that's what makes him so dangerous. But I think my fear with, let's take a look at the light heavyweight division. Let's see. Because I think Jamal Hill, Jamal Hill is really good. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Because those are two guys that have really good striking accuracy, really good power in their hands. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that plays out. I think that Jamal Hill, if he's smart, will try to grapple in that fight with Pereira. But I'm going to look up the rankings right now and see. Obviously, Pereira wants Adesanya to move up and fight him at light heavyweight, and I think that probably makes sense for Adesanya. I think the Strickland rematch, I think Adesanya is the type of guy that's going to want to avenge all of his losses. But at the same time, I think it might make more sense for him to just move up to 205 and get another crack at the belt, at the 205 belt. Okay, so here's an interesting scenario. So there's a couple fights coming up that could potentially be future title contenders. Obviously, Jamal Hill right now is the number one choice, but I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know when that's going to happen. Because he vacated due to that injury, and I don't know when that's going to be settled. But Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, that fight is rebooked, so they are going to redo that fight. That ended in an unfortunate no contest, so they're going to rebook that fight. If Magomed Ankalaev wins, he's definitely in the title picture. And then Jan Blachowicz versus Alexander Rakic. If Rakic wins that fight, I think he will be in the title picture. And I think Rakic is an absolute nightmare for Alex Pereira. I think that matchup is probably the worst matchup for him in the division. Other than that, I don't think he has much to worry about unless if Johnny Walker shows that he's got some crazy submission game against Ankalaev, and if he's able to submit Ankalaev or do something like that, then I think that shows a threat to Alex Pereira. That's another potential bad matchup for Pereira, but ultimately I think Pereira wins that fight. And then, because I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet. But I think Rakic, that might be the worst matchup for Alex Pereira. Another fight that got announced that was interesting was Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Ulberg, which I thought was an interesting matchup. So we'll see how that goes. But that's all I've got for you today. Just wanted to, talk about the co-main and the main event in UFC. Talk about stand-up fight series. Talk about Gamebred MMA. And yeah, let me know in the comments. I want to start potentially covering one championship. So let me know what you guys think about that. I think that's the direction I want to go. Start covering that. Still cover, BKFC here and there. Cover PFL. Cover UFC. And then cover the local shows as much as I can. But, yeah. And then there's a Nemesis MMA card. I might try to go to that one. Let me look it up and see when it is. Nemesis fighting. Kendall Whited is fighting on that card, and Logan Jones. They both train at ES MMA and Fitness, so I want to go support. But let me know if you guys want me to cover this event. It is on... When is it? I think it's like December 9th or something. Oh, Chance Croson is on this card? I saw him at Stand Up Fight Series. He was on the last event prior to the one from Saturday. He was on the one over the summer. I really enjoyed watching him fight. Oh yeah, December 9th. So let me know if you guys want me to cover that one, and I will make sure to go and I will cover it on the pod. But yeah, check out my other podcast, The Brilliant Resilient Experience, to stay updated with all my interviews. Check me out on Instagram, BreBre.Eckert. That's where you can find me. BreBre Talks MMA. That's where you can find the podcast Instagram. So I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting me, sharing my clips, sharing my podcast. Every single time I see it, I really appreciate it. Truly cannot thank you enough. So thank you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.